Hope everyone's doing well and welcome back to another weekly outlook. So cool. Let's get straight into it now. First off, good news. The government shutdown has officially ended, meaning we are back to having news events as normal. I believe that we may potentially, I'm gonna have to double check, and of course, it's gonna go out on the Telegram chat once I do check. But the sort of lagging news events may come out this week, which would include potentially the NFP and CPI that was missed, and essentially the data didn't come out, right? So far this week that we have upcoming for sure is Canadian CPI on the Monday. Not much going on Tuesday. On the Wednesday to watch for is FOMC meeting minutes. Then, must be blind, but yeah, there we have NFP coming up on the Thursday, right? So that's the NFP for November being caught up. We have unemployment claims, and then a lot of news events scattered around the Friday. It's the day of all the flash manufacturing, right? So just these to watch out for. So what we're looking at is more busy on the latter end of the week and potentially midweek with FOMC meeting minutes. So cool. You guys can already see I have the OT marked out. We'll come back out on the monthly. Well, out about the mid-month mark. Where do you want to see price go? Very small candle, swept one side, no expansion to the other side. We come down to the weekly. What we see is it's in the range, right? It's come down. It has not tapped this order block that we spoke about last time. So this is definitely still on the cards. And what I would look for in the upcoming week, as you guys can see, we've got the bullish range marked out. It's a sweep on these equal lows, a move towards this weekly order block here, / this daily order block, and then the move higher. We're already positioned in EU, but we're positioned quite safely. I don't expect the stop loss to get hit. The same way on DXY, the reason we've used this low instead of this low is because this is the internal low. And I didn't want to use this. It just felt safer, especially considering market conditions when news events aren't coming out and whatnot. It seemed a lot more sensible to go with the sort of cleaner swing for the range and the OTE rather than using this one over here. And what that looks like over Euro USD, which we're of course positioned in, yep, nice, is that price has traveled. It's got quite close to that internal liquidity, but the actual stop loss is quite a distance away, which is great for us, because even though we're positioned, we might have to go for a bit of drawdown. But what I would expect next week is a previous weekly high sweep, the same with DXY previous weekly low sweep, and then the turnaround to then head in this direction. Another thing to note, and again, very similar on DXY, on EU, we haven't had any sell side sweeps, right? So I would anticipate that once next week opens and we get that buy side sweep, that, we can have somewhat of a turnaround. We can push for most likely a 4-hour market maker sell model here. Very nice reaccumulations. And if we just head back over to DXY quickly, see the same scenario. Market maker buy model, reaccumulations, it's ready to go. I'd just like to see the equal low swept out and then the move higher, right? Nice. Not really much to add on the US 10-year. We did say last week, we may consolidate around here. Based on that weekly close, we really did expect the move down, but instead it's pushed up, which sort of supports the DXY also going higher from here. And it really wouldn't surprise me on the US 10-year if now that we pushed up this deep and this, sort of hard, that we push for the highs before then turn around and, potentially later have that turnaround. GBP. Still very choppy, still in this range. It's pushed higher, it's continued building the range, but nothing too crazy. What would we like to see from here in terms of higher time frame targets? The next high in reach would be this, which we are in proximity to, and then past that is essentially this little high here and then the bigger high here. So what do you want to see price do now? We've had one-way price action for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, or rather this is this week starting now. So essentially 4 weeks in a row and a bit of consolidation. So what I would like to see and what really would support our trade idea on EU is the turnaround here to go lower. And this might, sort of be triggered by all the flash manufacturing news coming up on the Friday. for the turnaround to go lower, sweep these lows into the discount zone to then head higher, instead of from here just continuing the one-way expansion, right? That's how I'd be viewing it here. USDCAD, we spoke about a potential trade idea last week. You know, somebody may have positioned. If you haven't positioned, if you are looking for a new position, this is definitely, you know, something I would look into. I'm not saying you should, you know, necessarily hit it blindly, but have a look. I think it's a great chart at the moment. You know, I'd like the sweep on this low alongside DXY, the same way we want DXY to sweep the equal lows. If these lows can go, this is an A, M, D sort of scenario pending for us. That is what I'd like to see. I'd like to see price, you know, come lower, sweep that previous weekly low potentially, and then from there expansion higher back towards this high. Supported by the move by DXY higher, of course. USDJPY taking the highs, did give a daily OTE this week, I believe, between, it came here, OTE, and then if we take the new range, gave an OT, and I started pushing towards the highs. It really wouldn't surprise me if it just carries on, but it is very choppy. It's not exactly the type of chart I'd like to be swinging or would even consider here over USDCAD or Euro USD. For USDCHF, completely against expectations. We expect, you know, the dollar to be bullish in this scenario. Might get a bit of a sweep here and a turnaround, but again, not really a chart I'd be favoring over the others that we've seen today. Cool. So somewhat of a turnaround on gold, right? A bit of a weird weekly chart there, by the way. It makes for a bit of a hard read. You know, we've got this order block created, but are we going to get the expansion from here? It's hard to say, right? Especially with that weekly closure that's just passed. Now, for me, it's, you know, very simple game here. It is still 50-50 to me. It's not confirmed that we go higher until we push for this high once more. I want to see, you know, most likely price when it opens will sweep previous daily low, come into this sort of consolidation. Does it want to respect the consolidation and then push higher towards this high? Or does it want to go lower first, sweep, and then push higher, right? But again, not exactly a great chart, not a chart I'm favoring any sort of massive swing position or anything I'd like to take at the moment. SPX are also quite consolidated sideways within the range. Not amazing, not really something you want to touch. Weekly candle inside. I would expect that this current range that we're in will stand. I don't really expect this low to get swept just yet. And, you know, what we may see is a dig deeper, but, you know, until it's ready to go, it just won't go, right? Sounds very, you know, simple, but it is. Until S&P is ready to have that reversal. And if we continue consolidating, then we need to start considering the fact that, you know, we might dig a little bit deeper than initially anticipated, come sweeping other lows, and then have a big reversal. But for the time being, again, also not a chart I would favor taking a position on just yet. And lastly, very, very big move down. I'm sure there's a massive amount of fear in the market. Everyone's, you know, or at least the crypto traders are definitely stressed. I don't think it's the end of the world. We spoke about this maybe last week, maybe the week before. Best time to invest is when there's fear. If there was a time to buy and, you know, risk your money, put that risk on, I would bet that now is a decent spot, and the deeper we dig is also decent. That is not financial advice, right? You should look into that yourself, make your decision. But I don't think it's a bad spot. I think there's a lot of fear in the market. You know, prices kicked down. We had somewhat for consolidation, and I would really expect a D sort of scenario. We really struggle to break those highs. From here, I would anticipate that we get that reversal. You know, we may, you know, with Bitcoin, we have a lot of time where we want to stay sideways. So now that it's kicked down here, I'm not saying, you know, it's gonna just bounce, like it's gonna stay here. Let's get an entry, guys. It's gonna wick and just go straight away. No, we're approaching December where liquidity dries up in other markets, and sometimes crypto gets a bit of a kick. So it is something I would watch for. But, you know, if all the markets slow down, including crypto and Bitcoin, then we might be sideways here until New Year's opens up and, you know, the market sort of getting fresh liquidity in, find this feet again, and then we might be ready to go. But yeah, guys, that is it for this weekly outlook. As usual, any questions at all, anything I can help with, please just drop me a message.